The ceiling lights buzzed above me, pale, sterile, unforgiving. I remember the cold more than the pain. The way it settled into my skin, how the thin hospital blanket felt like paper. My hand reached instinctively to the side, fingers brushing, empty sheets. No warmth, no voice whispering that I was okay, just absence. A nurse came in. I asked for my husband. She paused, a little too long, and said softly, "He stepped out about an hour ago, said he needed air. That was 12 hours ago." I'm Claire, and I had just lost our baby. 12 weeks in. It wasn't planned, but it was wanted, desperately. We'd told Emily first, my sister. She cried happy tears and brought me prenatal tea. She was always the one who made grief look gentle, like something you could carry in your purse and pull out only when needed. But nothing about that night was gentle. The cramps had started at midnight. The blood followed soon after. And by morning, our baby was gone. And so was he. They let me go home the next day. The silence in the car was louder than any scream. He didn't say much, just stared ahead. When we pulled into the driveway, I asked, "Where were you last night?" He didn't look at me when he answered, "With Emily." I needed someone who understood. Someone who'd been through it. I nodded. Because what else do you do when your heart has already been torn open? He unpacked the overnight bag he hadn't brought with him to the hospital, and I just stood there, holding the discharge papers in one hand and something else I couldn't name in the other. Something sharp, something growing. I had no idea that this was just the beginning. Grief has a sound. It's not sobbing. It's the scraping of a spoon against an empty cereal bowl at 3 a.m. It's the soft click of a bedroom door that never fully shuts. It's the hum of the fridge when no one speaks at the dinner table. That's what our house became, a symphony of almost silence. He stopped saying good morning, stopped checking in when he left for work. We didn't talk about the baby, not once after I got home. I would bring it up gently, just to name what had happened, but he'd shift in his seat, scratch his chin, murmur, "I can't do this. Right now." Emily, on the other hand, was everywhere. She came by that first week with a casserole, then again the next day, then 3 times that week. She brought tissues, herbal teas, and advice I hadn't asked for. "Don't blame him," she said once, setting down a tray of lemon bars. "Men grieve differently. He's just struggling." She touched my shoulder when she said it. It felt rehearsed. I started noticing small things. A sweatshirt of his I hadn't seen in a while. Emily wore it one night when she dropped off groceries. She laughed when I mentioned it. "Oh, he left it at my place after painting the nursery for my friend's baby. You remember Lily, right?" I nodded, but I didn't remember Lily. I didn't remember him mentioning her, or painting anything. Then there was the receipt. It was buried deep in the pocket of his coat when I went to wash it, a single slip of white paper from a bistro 2 towns over, 2 entrees, 1 bottle of wine, a 9:46 p.m. timestamp. The night he told me he was working late. I didn't confront him right away. I just studied him. How he jumped when I walked into the room too quietly. How he avoided my eyes during dinner. How he scrolled through his phone in the bathroom, door locked, fan on. When I finally brought it up, I made my voice light. "You went to Cafe Larkspur last Thursday?" He blinked. "Just once." "Yeah." Emily took me. Said I needed to eat something real. "I didn't tell you because you've had enough on your plate." I wanted to believe him. I needed to. But that night after he fell asleep, I sat on the bathroom floor with the receipt in my hand, reading the wine label like it held a secret message. My stomach turned, not from pain, but from something heavier. Distrust. Something was shifting. It was slow, like a crack in glass. But I could feel it. The fracture beneath everything we'd once built. And Emily had perfect timing. She always knew when to show up, and exactly what to say to make me doubt myself. "He's leaning on me a lot," she whispered once, while folding my laundry. "But it's only because he knows how much you need rest. You do need rest. Don't you?" I nodded, but something inside me was starting to wake up, and it wasn't tired at all. "Grief isolates you," But betrayal? It builds a wall, brick by brick, and hands you the mortar yourself. I was surrounded by people. My mother checked in daily, neighbors sent cards, Emily kept showing up with soups I didn't want, and advice I didn't ask for, but none of them saw me. Not really. They all saw her. She was the helpful one, the strong one, the rock of the family. My mother even said it out loud once like a compliment dipped in vinegar. "You're lucky to have a sister like her. You should try to lean on her more." I wanted to scream, but I smiled instead. My husband and I barely spoke. The couch between us became miles wide. He spent more time at work or with Emily. Sometimes he said he was helping her set up a new shelf. Once, he said he was fixing her garbage disposal. The man hadn't touched a screwdriver in our house in 6 years. I started noticing changes. Her hair was shinier. Her skin had that strange glow I couldn't name. I assumed it was some new serum or diet she wasn't telling me about. But then I heard it, a comment from an old friend at the farmer's market. "Emily looks amazing. She's glowing. I didn't know she was expecting again." I froze. "Expecting?" She laughed awkwardly. "Oh, I thought you knew. Sorry." Maybe I was wrong. Maybe she wasn't. That night, I visited Emily's house while she was out. I'd left a book there, or so I said. Her spare key was still under the ceramic frog on her porch. She hadn't changed that since college. Inside, everything looked staged, like a home on the market. Not lived in, arranged. In the bathroom, I found them in the drawer beneath the sink. Prenatal vitamins, a printed appointment card for an OB/GYN, and a sticky note with a date and a doodled heart. I stood there staring at it, as if it might vanish if I blinked hard enough. It didn't. I walked out without touching anything else, locked the door behind me, sat in my car with both hands, gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping me upright. I didn't cry. I went home, opened my journal, wrote down the date on the OB card, the name of the doctor, the shape of the heart, every detail, every instinct I had ignored. Started keeping track, not just of where he went, but when. What days Emily wore oversized hoodies, what nights he came home showered but not sweaty. It became a private ritual, me piecing together a puzzle no one wanted me to see. My therapist noticed the change. She asked if I was okay. I smiled. "I'm not broken anymore," I said. And for the first time, I wasn't lying, because something had shifted. Not in him, not in Emily, in me. I wasn't waiting for the truth to find me anymore. I was going to find it myself. It was a Tuesday. One of those soft, gray mornings where the sky looks like it never quite woke up. I was halfway through my tea, scrolling through Facebook without really seeing anything, until I did. It was the second post on my feed. From Emily, a black and white image, grainy, familiar, an ultrasound. There was a tiny caption underneath, written like a whisper. "Baby Jameson, a second chance at life. Due in April. Miracles do happen." I stared at it for a full minute before I even blinked. My fingers locked around the mug, my breath held without permission. Due in April. My miscarriage had been in early July, August, September, April. Exactly 9 months. I clicked the photo to enlarge it. The timestamp on the screen. 20 weeks. That meant she'd been pregnant for months. All through the visits, the check-ins, the quiet sympathy, the gentle hand on my shoulder. She had been carrying a child while comforting me for losing mine, and no one had told me. Not her. Not my husband. Not my family. I felt my body start to go cold. That strange, sinking cold that isn't physical, but lives in the center of your chest. I stood up too fast, knocking the tea onto the floor. It spread like a slow, dark stain, too symbolic. To ignore, I grabbed my keys. I don't know where I thought I was going. I just needed to move, to breathe, to not scream in a house filled with ghosts. He hadn't come home the night before. Said he was helping Emily organize her garage. I believed it, because I was still trying to. I called his phone. Straight to voicemail. I called Emily. No answer. So I drove, not to her house, not to his work, just away. To the lake we used to go to before we got married. I sat in the car, facing the water, and let the silence swell. What kind of woman does this to her own sister? What kind of man lets her? My baby was gone, and now hers was coming. I should have cried, should have screamed, should have thrown my phone across the dashboard and watched it crack like everything else in my life had. But I didn't. I just sat there, clutching the wheel, and whispered to myself like a promise. No more pretending. I didn't text, I didn't call, I just told my parents I was coming over, and that I needed them there. I told them to ask Emily and my husband to come too. I didn't say why. I wanted their reactions unfiltered. The living room was too bright. My mother had lit her favorite candle like she always did when company came over. That cheap lavender scent made me nauseous. He arrived first, eyes tired, shirt wrinkled, said my name like it was a question. Emily came in 5 minutes later, glowing, literally glowing. Soft makeup, hair curled, her hand resting gently on her stomach like she was already playing the part of the mother. No one sat. They stood across from me, shoulder to shoulder. I took a deep breath and opened the folder I had brought. I pulled out the first receipt. February 10th, Cafe Larkspur, late dinner. You said you were working. No answer. Next, a screenshot of Emily's OB appointment reminder. 20 weeks. Do the math. Still silence. Then I slid across a photo I had printed from Facebook. The ultrasound. I tapped the due date written in the corner. April 15th. I lost our baby in July, I said. This was conceived the same month. That's when Emily opened her mouth. It wasn't planned, she whispered. We were grieving. We didn't mean for it to happen. He finally looked at me. You shut down, he said. You wouldn't let me in. I didn't know how to reach you anymore. I stared at both of them. Their faces, full of guilt, but no real shame. Then I pulled out the last card. My ace. A printed screenshot from a message Emily had accidentally sent to the family group chat. She had deleted it seconds later, but not before I captured it. Let her think she lost everything while we build ours. Gasps. My mother's hands flew to her mouth. My father just closed his eyes and shook his head like he was trying to erase the image from his mind. Emily stammered, That's not what I meant. My mother cut her off. You don't speak now. Her voice was low, cold, shaking. You are not my daughter. Emily blinked, like she hadn't expected that part. I looked at my husband. You had a choice, I said. And every single time, you chose her. He opened his mouth, closed it again. No one defended them. Not this time. I left the folder on the coffee table and walked out without another word. As I reached the door, I heard my father say, She was the one grieving. You just made it worse. That night, I didn't cry. I slept in my own bed, in a quiet apartment I had signed the lease for 2 days earlier. My bags were already packed. The confrontation wasn't just about catching them. It was about closing the door and locking it behind me. 2 days after the confrontation, I made the post, not out of spite, not even out of anger. I made it because truth, left to rot in silence, starts to stink, and I refused to carry the smell any longer. It was short. Just 3 images. The ultrasound from Emily's Facebook, the calendar of my miscarriage date and hers, the screenshot of her message, let her think she lost everything while we build ours. The caption was quiet, measured, just enough. This is how my husband grieved the loss of our child. With my sister, while I was still bleeding, I stayed silent for months, but silence doesn't heal, it hides. I posted it in a private women's group first, the kind where the moderators are fierce and protective and know the weight of betrayal. But within an hour, it had over 4,000 likes. Then it spread. Screenshots floated out. My inbox exploded. And then came the fallout. Emily worked as a teacher at the local high school. Small town, Big gossip. Parents started calling the school board. One even sent in a printed copy of the Facebook post with a handwritten note. This woman shouldn't be near children if this is how she treats her own family. She was put on administrative leave by the end of the week. Pending review. But we both knew her reputation wasn't coming back. My husband, ex-husband, I should say, tried texting me. First, it was guilt. You humiliated her. She's pregnant, for God's sake. Then pleading. We can fix this. I never stopped loving you. Then anger. You're turning people against us. You want everyone to hate me? I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I responded to my lawyer. Because inside a manila envelope he forgot at home, or maybe thought I wouldn't read, was a receipt for baby furniture. Ordered online. Paid from our joint savings account. He hadn't even opened a new one. He'd just used what was mine, what was left after the hospital bills, after the grief. So I filed, divorce, clean cut, no apologies, no drawn-out drama. I didn't want the house, didn't want revenge. I just wanted freedom, legally signed. And sealed. And when it arrived, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't call my friends. I bought myself a chocolate cake, lit a candle, and made one wish, that I never again ignore the sound of my own intuition. That night, I slept with the windows open. The air smelled like rain, and I swore to myself, I'd never let them take another piece of me again. I live in a smaller town now, quieter, the kind of place where the mailman still waves and the bookstore cat has its own seat by the window. No one here knows my last name, just my smile and the smell of paint on my hands. I opened a studio 3 months ago, nothing big, just one room, white walls, warm light. I call it Second Bloom. It's for women like me, women who've lost something, or someone, or themselves along the way. We don't talk about pain right away. We paint first. We let our hands move before our mouths do. Last week, a woman came in, maybe early 40s, said she hadn't picked up a brush since high school. She looked like she hadn't exhaled in years. She chose the seat near the window, painted a heart, cracked, uneven, jagged down the middle. Then she stared at it like it had betrayed her. She asked me, "Do the cracks ever stop showing?" I told her the truth. No. But one day, they stop hurting, and eventually they start to shine. That's something grief teaches you. It doesn't leave. It just changes shape. Like water, it finds the cracks in you and carves out space. But that space doesn't stay hollow forever. Sometimes it fills with art, or peace, or silence that doesn't ache anymore. Sometimes it fills with you. Emily still lives back home. I hear whispers. She never went back to teaching. He's with her. Of course he is. Maybe they're happy. Maybe they pretend they are. I don't think about them much. When I do, it's only to remind myself what I survived, what I rebuilt, what they'll never be able to take from me again. People think the worst part is the betrayal. It's not. It's waking up every day wondering if it was you, if you missed something, if you weren't enough, and then one day you stop wondering because you realize you weren't the one who broke it. You were the one who survived it.